Today we are going to talk about my favorite backpacking stove. So I keep my Bushbuddy in a Cuban fiber stuff sack, and I keep it also inside of that sack. I have it inside of my cook pot. And the Bushbuddy stove fits perfectly in the Snow Peak 900. And this is the Snow Peak here. So, like I said, it fits perfectly in here. I keep a little towel wrapped around it just to keep it from moving around in there and making noise, and it just helps protect the stove a little bit more. I pull the stove out here. See, it's made of stainless steel, and it is handmade in the United States, in Alaska. This is one of the older original Bushbuddies made by Fritz, who was one of the main, or was the original maker of this stove. At least the Bushbuddy branded one. They are still made today, though. You can buy them from, I think it's just called Bushbuddy Stove Company. And the gentleman who runs that company was trained by Fritz himself to make these. So I've had this Bushbuddy for almost 10 years now. Maybe it's like 8 or 9 or something. This is specifically the Bushbuddy Ultra, which is their ultralight version. I think this one weighs 4.9 ounces for this exact one here. I'm not sure what the current ones weigh today, but you can see it's a very thin stainless steel. So to protect that in my pack, I keep it inside of my Snow Peak 900 pot. Slips in there really nicely. Flip that over, and it's a perfect fit. So let's go ahead and get this wood stove going and make some tea. So looking at the stove here, it is a two-part stove. Got the main body here, and then we've got the pot stand portion, which just flips around and sits right on top. Inside the stove, we've got a grate at the bottom. And you got the holes on the outside here, so that allows the airflow to come in through and up through the fire, which helps the fire burn really well. And then we've got the air holes up around the top, which creates a gasification inside the stove so that the gas coming off of the fire is relit and burns through these. I don't know the exact science behind it, but I do know that it works very well. To start my Bushbuddy stove, I typically just begin by taking some small sticks and filling up the bottom a bit and giving myself a nice base for whatever fire starter that I'm using. Once I've got the stove partially full of my wood, I'll go ahead and put a fire starter in there. Today I am using Esbit. I have these like little mini Esbit tabs, and I'll just break off a small piece. So that's more than enough to get this going. And then I'll just start building up the wood over top of the fire starter. Also put my pot stand back on there as well. As soon as I feel like it's burning pretty good, I'll go ahead and throw in a few a little bit bigger than pencil width wood. Just kind of top it off, and then I'll go ahead and put my pot on. It does not take long to come to a boil. Usually about 5 to 10 minutes. So we'll go ahead and get the tea in there. Key to a good tea is not letting it steep for too long. Typically you want to just let it steep for about 3 minutes and then go ahead and take your tea out of the bag, or out of the water I should say. Take that out. One of the best parts about the Bushbuddy stove is that it doesn't leave any marks on the ground. So if I move this out of the way here, you can see nothing's left on the ground. Just a super portable, clean way to have fires wherever you are. Once you're done cooking with the Bushbuddy, you can just let the fire slowly die out, and most of the wood inside of there will just turn to ash. So I'm going to drink my tea while I wait for that fire to die down. And it's going to do the opposite of what I want. It gets really hot in there, so even if it starts to get low and the flames go out, it doesn't take much wood to get it going again. I love using wood stoves when I'm hiking because fuel isn't really an issue here in the Northeast when you're using wood. So I don't have to calculate how much fuel I'm going to need for a trip, or I don't have to try to conserve fuel while I'm out. If I want a hot meal or a hot drink, I can make it whenever I choose. And I've used a few different wood stoves over the years, but I've always come back to this Bushbuddy stove. I think for the weight of the stove and the size, it's definitely the most efficient and the simplest to use, and there's just no cleanup or anything. Aside from the great performance of the Bushbuddy, I also just really like it for aesthetic reasons. The fact that it's handmade in the United States by a small cottage manufacturer is just really awesome, and the craftsmanship of those stoves is incredible. Alright, so that's it guys. I just wanted to show you the Bushbuddy stove in action. I've got it all cooled down and I dumped out the ashes, so I'm just going to pack it back up and I'm going to head on out of here, finish up my hike for the day.